Hello and welcome. I'm Claudia Bester. I'm the Director of Public Programs here at the Hammer Museum, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to Resonances, Music of Armenia, an evening of exquisite music by Armenian composers. Tonight's concert commemorates the Armenian Genocide, in which an estimated 1.5 million Armenian people were killed between 1915 and 1923 in a horrific act of ethnic cleansing. The victims of the Armenian Genocide are commemorated every year on April 24th, and as an arts institution, we feel that it's appropriate that we take this time to celebrate the contributions of Armenian culture to the arts, especially here in Los Angeles, home to one of the largest groups of Armenian people outside of Armenia. Music transcends all cultures and generations, and tonight we have special performances of classical and folk music to delight you. And we ask that you please silence your cell phones before the concert. Thank you. The incredible musicians performing for you tonight are all part of the UCLA Armenian Music Program, which is in turn part of the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music, one of the leading music schools in the United States. So now I'd like to introduce Hammer Museum board member Eric Israelian. Dr. Israelian is a physician, an Emmy-nominated film producer, and entrepreneur. He's actively involved in philanthropic efforts connecting human rights, education, health, and the arts. Dr. Israelian is a clinical professor of medicine at UCLA and the chief of the Vachi and Tamar Manukian Division of Digestive Diseases at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. He's also produced films and social impact campaigns with a focus on human rights issues. Israelian's commitment to human rights led to the formation of the Promise Institute for Human Rights. We have a real cell phone problem tonight. 3 cell phones have gone off. Could you please silence your cell phones? Cell phones and chamber music? Not a good combo. Thank you. In 2021, Dr. Israelian was honored by Pope Francis at the Vatican with the Ben Emerenti Medal for his humanitarian activities around the world. So now please join me in welcoming Dr. Eric Israelian.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And Claudia, if she's not Armenian, but she's an honorary Armenian. If you're Armenian, you know cell phones will go off during performances. It is okay. Actually, thank you, though. First of all, I want to thank Claudia and the Hammer Museum. This institution is not only near and dear to my heart, but it's an incredible arts institution, not just for Los Angeles, but for the world. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to visit the museum, and really enjoy all that the museum offers, I hope this is just the beginning for you, and I hope you come back, because now you've seen we're fully open now, and it's really an amazing institution, and it's a part of UCLA, which is really special to me as well. For now, I think 11 years, the Hammer has commemorated the Armenian Genocide, and it's been really humbling for me to see how the leadership of this institution feels a level of responsibility, especially given the tradition of and the impact of Armenians in the diaspora and at UCLA. I have a couple of thank yous as well. I want to thank Dean Eileen Strempel, who's here from the Herb Alpert School of Music, and of course, Professor Movses Pogossian and Professor Melissa Bilal, who have put together something really special. I love this event every year, but I think in particular this year they've put together something really special. I'm excited to see it, and I know you are too. I think this is the largest audience we've ever had, so I really appreciate all of you coming out in the middle of the week, because this is really a gem. This is the type of event that has now become a tradition at UCLA and at the Hammer Museum. And as Claudia mentioned, a few years ago, we launched the Promise Armenian Institute, soon following the Promise Institute for Human Rights. And our goal was to celebrate Armenian heritage, culture, music, language, and also highlight the importance of fighting for human rights given what happened to the Armenian people. And this is also a special evening for me because some of the music of Gomitas Vartabet will be performed, and my great-grandfather performed in the choir with Gomitas in Constantinople, which is, again, inspiring for me to continue to tell our stories. And I'm inspired by the past, and I'm also inspired by my family and friends and all of you who are here, because you're the future of the Armenian people. And like we said in the promise, the last line of the promise is, "We are still here." You're a testament to that. So thank you all again. And I hope you enjoy the evening, and I hope you come back year after year.
Thank you so much, Eric. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce tonight's MC, Movses Pogossian, the director of the Armenian Music Program at UCLA. Pogossian is a world-renowned violinist who hails from the Komitas Conservatory in Armenia and the Tchaikovsky Conservatory of Music in Moscow. He's a prize winner of the Tchaikovsky International Competition and the youngest ever winner of the National Violin Competition in the Soviet Union. Movses is also the artistic director of the critically acclaimed Diligent Chamber Music Series and a professor of violin at the UCLA Herb Alpert School of Music, and we're so fortunate to have him share his gifts with us. Please join me in welcoming Movses Pogossian.
Good evening, everyone. Every year, I look forward so much to coming back to Hammer Museum. I think it's our 9th time that we're doing Armenian Genocide commemoration concert. Thanks to Eric's suggestion to Claudia to do it. And every year, we are excited about what are we going to share with you this time. And I always try to have something unusual up the sleeve. And today will be, I think, a couple of unusual things. But before music starts, and because it's a somber occasion, I think it would be very appropriate if we take a moment of silence and commemorate memories of victims of the Armenian Genocide of 1915. Thank you. Music is such an amazing art form, much better than words. It can broadcast what human soul is capable of experiencing. And it seems very poignant and logical to have music being featured today. Music of all kinds, somber music, of course, soulful music, but also music of celebration. That's how our concert will end. Because if there's anything as powerful as arts that demonstrate the tenacity, the will to live, and the will to succeed against all odds, which the Armenian culture has been doing for not even centuries, but millennia. So today's program makes me especially excited because for the first time at this concert we'll be able to demonstrate to you really the depth and breadth of Armenian music program. Those of you who come here in the past probably got used to, it's not the right word, used to, because it was always exciting, seeing a string quartet and a vocalist. And you will again have a string quartet and a string trio, but also you will have the whole, you will have duduk, you'll have kamancha, you'll have oud, you'll have amazing Armenian folk singing here from stage, and so much more. And ever since we started this program, we're currently in the 10th year, it's been the aspiration to not concentrate on any one angle of it, but to try to show, first of all, to our school, to our campus, but also to the city and to the world too, what Armenian culture and Armenian music is capable of and of its reaches. And I think in a certain small measure, this program today serves that purpose. So it has 3 parts today, the program. Let's call it Western classical part with Western classical instruments, but it will feature 2 amazing premieres about which you will learn in a moment. The middle part is a totally new dimension to our program. We call it VEM Fellows together with Melissa, and more about it later as well. And we're also extremely excited to welcome for the first time on Hammer stage the Lernazang Ensemble, which is a fabulous group that is founded a few years ago by Armen Adamyan and Natalie Kamajan, and they are going to just wow you away with the amazing members and amazing musicians headlined by the legendary Hasmik Harutyunyan. So you are in for a treat. We're starting with VEM. VEM Ensemble was always, from the very beginning, ensemble in residence of Armenian Music Program, and its members are, well, why don't we actually ask them to come on stage? And then I will introduce them. So let's welcome VEM. All right, so on the violin, we have a second-year master's student. Her name is Ella Kojas. Ella is... Ella hails from Rochester, New York, and she's a graduate of Eastman School of Music. Both parents are musicians, and she's of Serbian descent, so she has a great appreciation of her native folk culture, and she absolutely loves, by now, Armenian music as well. On the cello, we have Niall Ferguson, who is an alumnus. He was a School of Music student and a cello performance major, and now he rejoined VEM, actually. He is a fabulous, not only cellist and person, of course, we don't take anyone who is less than fabulous, but he is also very successful and promising composer, and is very busy in the Hollywood motion picture industry. So he is a sort of a jack of all trades, but he does everything really well. And as you will see now, he plays cello very beautifully. So that's Niall. And on the viola, we have Damon Zavala, who is first-year master's student. He did his Bachelor of Music at Vanderbilt, at the Blair School of Music. He's our teaching assistant at UCLA, which means everything goes through Damon. And he's incredibly organized and the most responsible person I've ever met, really. You just have to see his emails. But he also plays beautifully on viola, so which you're going to hear very, very soon. This group, together with yours truly, and our another alumna, I always make a mistake, female alumna, yeah. Danielle Segan. We just returned from Armenia. We spent 10 amazing days, during which actually it was maybe 7 days of very intense work. Had 10 workshop sessions for the children of a pre-elementary school ages at Dilijan Community Center, to students at Dilijan State College and Music School, to the high schoolers of Dilijan's United World College, and for students of American University of Armenia. And these young musicians also performed formal concerts in Gyumri and in Yerevan, where so much was packed in the schedule, and including a private session with Tigran Mansourian in his home, working on Tigran Mansourian's music. So the 2 pieces that you will hear today performed, they will be recording it in just a couple of weeks for a CD, actually a 4 CD set that we're going to issue in November of Armenian music that will have over 15 Armenian composers. We're able to do it on that CD set because our School of Music has state-of-the-art recording facility. So very exciting dimension, really, from every angle you look at it. So it's the time now when I am so delighted to introduce and to ask my dear colleague, Associate Director of Armenian Music, Melissa Bilal, to come on stage and to talk about a little bit about the music that you're going to hear in this first set. You will hear 4 pieces of music by 3 composers, and no one is better equipped to tell us what we're going to hear than Melissa. Please welcome Melissa Bilal.
Hi, thank you, Moses. Welcome all. VEM Ensemble's repertoire today includes pieces by Gomidas Vartabet, as Moses and Eric mentioned, Koharik Ghazarosyan, and Khosrovi Tukht Kokhnatsi. And let me say a few words about each composer. Gomidas Vartabet was a priest, song collector, composer, choral conductor, educator, and music scholar. He was born in the Ottoman Empire in the town of Gudina, Kütahya, which is in Turkey today, and was educated in Echmiadzin, which was then in the Russian Empire, today in Armenia, and also in Berlin. I can go on forever about Gomidas Vartabet because I edited a book about him and I have done research on his life and work probably 2 decades now. But I would like to mention only a few important facts relevant to our program today. Gomidas Vartabet, a lesser known fact about Gomidas Vartabet is that he was one of the founders of modern musicology as a discipline. And as a graduate student myself at the University of Chicago, when I was studying the history of musicology and ethnomusicology, I learned every single person who were attending the same conferences and sitting next to Gomidas Vartabet in Paris and in Berlin during the conferences of International Music Society, except for Gomidas, all names but Gomidas. Why I hadn't learned about Gomidas Vartabet? This is one of the lesser known outcomes of the genocide, the scholarly outcome of the genocide. So when Armenians in Istanbul, Armenian intellectuals and community members were rounded up in Istanbul in 1915, Gomidas Vartabet was arrested and sent to a military prison, eventually to be murdered. He was one of the 8 people who survived, but this cost his mental health, and he lived the next 20 years of his life in a mental clinic. As someone who was born and raised in Istanbul, I can't stop thinking that had Gomidas not come to Istanbul in 1910 from Echmiadzin, he wouldn't have this destiny. The next composer, Koharik Ghazarosyan, was born in Istanbul, in Ottoman Constantinople, 3 years before Gomidas arrived there. Her childhood and early youth coincided with the genocide, and the family survived in the Ottoman capital, but they had to witness the arrest of the intellectuals and community members and all the traumas and the arrival of orphans and survivors in their city, and the loss of all Armenian hope in 1922 and 23. Koharik Ghazarosyan was sent to Paris to study music, and she eventually returned to Istanbul, and she spent her life back and forth between Istanbul and Paris. As a concert pianist, she toured all over Europe. She performed in many important stages and concert halls, and she traveled around the Middle East. She was on tour in the US in the late 1940s. She even performed at the Carnegie Hall. Her performances in New York were broadcast on the radio. She never personally met Gomidas Vartabet, but she traveled to his hometown, Gudina, Kütahya, and visited his birth house, and it was very emotional for her to meet his surviving relatives, and she wrote about that. What is very special for today's program is the fact that Koharik Ghazarosyan was entrusted in 1943 2 field notebooks by Gomidas Vartabet. The field notebooks, Zodaders, they were from his 1913 song collection, Excursion to Surmalu. And these 2 notebooks probably would have been lost when his house was looted right after his arrest, had it not been one of his friends, Toros Azadyan, who saved these notebooks. And in 1943, years after Gomidas Vartabet passed away, he entrusted them to this young Armenian pianist, composer, woman, Koharik Ghazarosyan. Koharik studied these transcriptions of folk songs by Gomidas Vartabet, and she arranged some of them. In 1961, she wrote this piece for string quartet that you will hear soon, and it's the world premiere of this piece. And it's especially very exciting for me because I study Koharik Ghazarosyan's life and work. It's my research, and this wonderful students, musicians, our very own VEM Ensemble is the one to premiere this piece. The theme of this string quartet comes from that field notebook, one of the folk songs, Աղջի մերդ մերելա, Girl, Your Mother Is No More. It's a lament Gomidas collected from the Evcilar village of Surmalu. And she wrote in 1961 a string quartet using the main theme of this, the melody of this folk song. And we are very thankful that Koharik Ghazarosyan's niece, Sona Bedrosyan in Paris, preserved her manuscripts, the unpublished sheet music, and Haig Avakian of Cairo did a giant work of editing and publishing Koharik Ghazarosyan's unpublished music. It is Haig Avakian's editions and notes that we used in our revival of this repertoire. So the sound that you will hear today, the sound of this piece today itself, in and of itself, is a story, is an Armenian story of dispersion and survival. From Gomidas Vartabet, transcribing folk songs in Surmalu, to Koharik Ghazarosyan, studying these transcriptions after Gomidas Vartabet was long gone, sitting in Istanbul and Paris, to Sona Bedrosyan in Paris, the niece of the composer, and Haig Avakian, another musician in Cairo, to us in LA. And today, Koharik Ghazarosyan's archive is preserved in Madenataran in Armenia. So the last composer I would like to introduce is Khosrovitucht Kokhnatsi, who is the composer of the very first piece you will hear tonight. Khosrovitucht is one of the earliest recorded Armenian woman hymnographer, composer, and poet who lived in the 8th century in the historic Armenian province of Vaspuragan. And she wrote this hymn, this Sharagan. It's a lament for her abducted brother. And today you will hear other pieces from Vaspuragan Van region, which is today mostly in Turkey, and its Armenian communities fell victim to the genocide. We have very limited information on Khosrovitucht's life and work. And what you will hear today is instrumental. This piece obviously has lyrics, but today we will be performing a string trio arrangement of this piece, string quartet arrangement of this piece by renowned contemporary composer, our very dear friend Artur Avanesov, who is actually, by the way, coming to UCLA as a featured musician and scholar in May. And VEM Ensemble, again, is premiering this work this year. So let's hear VEM Ensemble. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, VEM Ensemble. We are very proud to be a unique program outside Armenia that builds a music education curriculum, Armenian music education curriculum. Our classes were capacity enrollment this year. I see some of my students here. I'm so happy to see them. We're building our scholarly musical community here. I think we are also the only school of music outside Armenia that trains instrumentalists and vocalists of Armenian music. And we do it in multiple levels. One of it is the Armenian Music Ensemble. Sometimes we offer it as Armenian Music and Dance Ensemble, and I see a lot of students here who were enrolled in that class over years by Armen Adamyan. And the other is the VEM Fellowship. Now Moses will talk a little about the fellowship, which is the newest addition to the education dimension of our program.
So, hello? Just a few months ago, maybe less than a year ago, Melissa and I had this idea. Okay, so we have Armenian Music Ensemble, and students come and learn to play and sing. And then we have violinists and cellists and violists playing on Western classical instruments. But what if we tap School of Music students who are pursuing opera or woodwinds and have them pair up with the world-renowned high-quality masters and have them learn how to play Armenian music and how to sing Armenian music. So we were fortunate that we had those two masters here. So what you will hear now is my most favorite part of the program. It's the pilot VEM Fellows program. So I want you to meet Max and Adam. Please welcome them on stage. Hey guys. So, Max is a second-year master's student, opera, studying with Michael Dean, who is here actually. Michael, thank you for coming to hear your student. And Adam is a third-year undergraduate student majoring in oboe, and he's studying with Jonathan Davis. So when we approached Max and Adam late last fall with this proposal, and they were nominated by our colleagues. You know, we could have had 20 students, but we just, wanted to start small and then build on it. So they were so excited. Adam and Max ended up being the most incredible students, and they are going to demonstrate to you right now what they learned. I thought maybe I first will ask you, Max, what does it... I know when first your teacher sent me video with you singing, I was like, okay, opera singer, but he does all the other stuff. Can you tell us what other kinds of music you perform?
Yeah, sure. I grew up in Texas. It has a very strong choral tradition, and so I love singing choral music. I also did a lot of musical theater when I was growing up. My undergraduate degree, the place that I did my undergraduate, they do a lot of jazz music. So I have training in vocal jazz, musical theater, choral stuff. I just love to sing, and I love to learn how to sing in new styles. I like to do folk music as well.
You play guitar too, right?
Yes, yeah.
I remember watching video of you singing so beautifully, but also accompanying yourself on guitar. Anyway, so I thought, this fellow will be perfect for Armenian folk music. So what was your first meeting with the great Hasmik Harutyunyan like? Tell me, I'm just so curious.
Well, first of all, she's incredible, and she's such an excellent teacher. She's so knowledgeable, but so humble as well. And so the first few meetings with her was really just learning about the style, learning how she would sing a lot to me. And I would repeat back sometimes, but it was a lot of listening and a lot of slowly integrating the style into my own voice, which has it's really, really a lot of fun. And I'm so excited to hear from her later
And to
tonight.
share stage with your teacher.
Yes, it's going to be amazing.
Probably you're thankful that she sings after you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, well, listen, Max, because Adam is performing first, why don't you pass the microphone
Sure.
to Adam? And you can go and enjoy Adam's performance. I will grill you a little, Adam. Are you ready?
I would expect nothing less.
So I just learned you're from Palm Springs, California,
Yes, the desert.
the desert. So before I ask you to compare oboe and duduk, I'm curious, how did you end up picking oboe? This is such an ungrateful choice, you know,
Yeah,
for in
it's-
most people's minds.
It's certainly not rewarding most of the time. Sometimes it's rewarding, but most of the time it's not. It like a lot of people who come to play woodwind instruments, you join a beginning band in middle school or high school or elementary school. For me, it was in middle school, and then the band director's like, "Hey, we need someone to play this kind of weird instrument. Would you like to do this?" And it ends up being like, yeah, sure, I'll undertake this challenge. And then you end up falling in love with it. You listen to the great pieces with the great solos, and you get to work with great teachers, and then you continue.
And you do have a great teacher. I remember actually hearing you with UCLA Philharmonia, thinking, "Who's playing oboe this well?" And then it was
very nice.
Adam. So, like 15-second tutorial, I see this wooden thing sticking out from you.
Yep.
What is
Yeah.
it? Is that what makes it kind of similar to oboe?
Yes.
Is it
So this massive thing sticking out is the double reed for the duduk, which is similar to the oboe in that the oboe has a double reed as well. But the double reed on the oboe is maybe a fifth of this size. But the concept is still the same. You have two pieces of cane, bamboo, that are tied together, and then there's an opening. And because they're tied together, they can vibrate when you blow air through them. And that's what creates the sound.
I see. Well, and just before we get to hear you play, what is it like? I remember sending you a link with your teacher, Emmanuel Hovhannisyan's playing, and which is, I think, but I mean, I don't want to actually prejudice your answer. Just tell us, what do you think of his playing, and what are you learning from him?
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel continues to impress me every time we have a lesson. His musicianship and his technical mastery of the duduk is something that's amazing. And then, like, obviously there's all this training that he's undertaken, right? And all of these hours of practice, but then he is still so open and still really understanding to where at the end of the day, he's saying, it's still music, it's still your personal expression. Like, he's always saying, you can do it in your taste. Sometimes it's do it in my taste, but a lot of times whatever you like.
Well,
so that's very nice.
It's amazing to me that your first lessons, both for Max and you, were in January.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
here you are performing on a brand new instrument. Well, can't wait to hear you. Good luck.
Yeah, well, thank you so
Enjoy.
much.
Okay.
ջան հովարեք իմ դարդին դարման արեք հովարեք սարեր ջան հովարեք իմ դարդին դարման արեք սարերը հով չեն անում սարերը հով չեն անում իմ դարդին դարման անում իմ դարդին դարման անում ամպեր ամպեր մի քիչ զովարեք վարարանց ռև թափեք ցովարեք գեշմարտու օր արևը սև հողի տակով արեք հովարեք սարեր ջան հովարեք Alagiyaz sarnam pela vaylele vaylele ach berir zintam bela İmayrik can İmayrik can Merdrana xanki tsar gülüm can Zerdrana xanki tsar gülüm can Xankenina berel bar gülüm can İm xorotik pastik yar gülüm can Merdrana xanki tsar gülüm can Zerdrana xanki tsar gülüm can Xankenina berel bar gülüm can İm xorotik pastik yar gülüm can
Wow. I'm in tears. This was very special. We are very lucky to have the famous folk singer Hasmik Harutyunyan, the meritorious artist of the Republic of Armenia, who grew up with survivors from Mush. She was mentored by Hayrik Muradyan, who was a very important figure in keeping the Western Armenian musical traditions alive in Armenia. Hasmik has been generously mentoring us with her immense knowledge of Armenian folk song repertoire. And I invite Hasmik Harutyunyan to stage.
Երկինքն ամպել է ինչ անուշ թոն է Երկինքն ամպել է ինչ անուշ թոն է Գամ դռնեն անցնեմ հոգյակս հոն է Գամ դռնեն անցնեմ հոգյակս հոն է Երկինքն ամպել է գետին շաղերով Երկինքն ամպել է գետին շաղերով Ես քեզ սիրել եմ անուշ խաղերով Ես քեզ սիրել եմ անուշ խաղերով Շորոր դու շեկլիկ յար տեսնեմ դու մնես Շորոր դու շեկլիկ յար տեսնեմ դու մնես Իրավ եմ ասում դու իմ սրտումն ես Իրավ եմ ասում դու իմ սրտումն ես Մանրատերև քեզի ծածկոց կենեմ քեզի այայերա Լենատերև քեզի փատոց կենեմ քեզի այայերա նանայ նանայ նայ նայ նանայ նայ արև քեզի հերիկ այայերա լուսին քեզի մերիկ այայերա նանայ նանայ նայ նայ նանայ նայ պախրեն կուգացից կուտա այայերա ջիգար չունի քիչ կուտա այայերա նանայ նանայ նայ նայ նանայ նայ ծառներ քեզի օրոր
As Moses said, this year we had the great opportunity of having Lernazang Ensemble in residence. Lernazang Ensemble contributed to the realization of our program's vision of having three strong components: performance, scholarship, and outreach. Lernazang Ensemble was founded by two UCLA graduate students, Armen Adamyan, ethnomusicology PhD student, and Natalie Kamajian, a PhD student in culture and performance dance. And they both, together with the Lernazang Ensemble, bring the depth of their scholarly research into their performance of Armenian vernacular repertoires. And their dance and music workshops in the local Armenian schools this year was a lot of fun and very inspirational for the elementary and middle schoolers. You should really see Natalie and Armen workshopping with Armenian school children. It gives me tears. So I would like to invite Natalie to stage now to talk a little bit about the Lernazang Ensemble. Natalie, Can.
Բարև ձեզ. Hi, everyone. Can't really see you, but I know there's familiar faces here. I feel it. I want to speak a little bit about Lernazang as we set up for the next set. They're going to join us in a few minutes. So Lernazang is a nonprofit organization. We're also a cultural collective and a performance ensemble, and we were founded in 2017. Our mission is to preserve Armenian cultural heritage in the diaspora. But we do this, yes, it's much needed. But to be specific, actually, what we're trying to do is we're trying to decolonize Armenian aesthetics. And so when I say that, I mean what we are trying to do is we're focusing on Azgagarakan repertoire. Okay, so you're about to see Azgagarakan. Azgagarakan can be translated to ethnographic in English. And essentially what's really meaningful and what's so important about this repertoire that you're about to hear is that it's gleaned from source performers, many of whom are either exiles of Western Armenia or survivors of the genocide themselves, or their students, or it's their relatives. So part of all of this artistic work, the connection there is there's a lot of research that goes into it. And so we really prioritize that in our work. I took some notes here so I don't miss anything. And so what's also really important about this is that why we're here today. This is a genocide commemoration event. And so all of the music and the songs that you're about to hear come from Western Armenia. So you're going to hear songs and repertoires from Butania, from Van, from Taron, and from Musaler, and from Kesab. So we're going to take you all around. And really our work is about reconceptualizing. So in decolonizing, we're really trying to reconceptualize what Armenian repertoire and what a performance of Armenian dance and music could look like outside of Sovietized, Orientalized, or Eurocentric standards of performance, which really make up the majority of the landscape of Armenian cultural production, both in Armenia and also in the diaspora. So what are some of the things that Lernazang does? There's kind of three main tiers. The first thing that we do is we learn and we practice. So that's like the most important thing is for us, this is a daily practice, and it's a life journey. For us, we want to live and breathe and move with this dance and music every day of our lives, and we want to share it with the people we love. And so that's why we hang out together pretty much all the time. And that's all we do is we sing and we dance, and we get ready to perform and share that with you. The second major thing that we do is teaching. So we have workshops, guest lectures, we have classes, weekly classes in Pasadena, dance classes. And so again, that's part of that same mission of like getting folks in the diaspora to really be singing and dancing and really familiar with this repertoire so that it can exist beyond us. The third tier is performance. So that adds another layer, but it also allows us to be able to have a space where we can come and sing and dance with a performance. So again, we hope if you know the songs, please sing along. If you know the dances, dance along. That's what this is for. It's not meant to be a separation between us here. It's all of us together. I don't even know if you know this, Melissa, but I wanted to share a bit about what Lernazang, the name, how we came up with it. So Ler is a mountain, and Zang is like a call or a ring, so like call of the mountain. But I'm going to get nerdy for a second. Lernazangvats is a geological term. In English, it's massive. And so a massive is basically a group of mountains. It identifies mountains that retain their internal structure while it's being displaced. Okay? So in diaspora, that for us was, all the credit goes to Ottoman, by the way, for the name. But for us, it's so powerful because we're constantly like thinking, how are we making connections to our homeland, but also to the homeland that was lost and that we're exiled from. So the music you're going to hear is you know, as political as it is beautiful. In following the footsteps of the resistance fighters who were fighting against Ottoman state violence, for us, dance and music is what we're arming ourselves so that we can survive and continue onward. You know, for us, the genocide is not an event that happened in time and that has an end date. It's a process. So it's continuing today. There's a 130-day long blockade in Artsakh by the Azerbaijani Turkish regime. So these things, it's not a historical thing that ended. It's continuing today.
So I really hope that these sentiments of strength and power and resistance and ultimately joy stay with you throughout the set. Thanks so much, and please enjoy.
Thank you very much, Natalie. And I am very happy and honored to invite the Lernazang Ensemble on stage.
Թողեր կրունգ ջան գարուն է ախ սիրտս սարուն է կրունգ ջան գարուն է կրունգ ջան գարուն է ախ սիրտս արուն է
Կնստիմ գյամին երթամ աղթամար մատաղ կգտրիմ
գնացին յարելով յարմ գորանի Ertank marmuş, ertank marvan marsasun. Tegus kanzget, hosi garmir mararun. Kelelao, eli ertank marergish. Kelelao. Եսիմ նախնյացետ կարոտս որ առա ես կդառնամ ետ հելի լավ հելի երթանք մրերգիր մշո պապակ հողին ես դառնամ ջրգիր Կաղաչեմ փրկիր, թե չէ դատաստանին պարտական կեղնիմ հելի լավ հելի երթանք մրերգիր մշո պապակ հողին ես դառնամ ջրգիր դիվահարի մեղի Կաղաչեմ փրկիր, թե չէ դատաստանին պարտական կեղնիմ լե լե լե լե լե լե լե գորանի լե լե լե le jangorani le le le le le le le le gorani le le le le le le mashu gorani
Uh-oh, okay. I have the most ungrateful task to speak after this. But I have to do it, so bear with me for 3 minutes, and I will tell you 3 things. First, it's a confession. Somewhat of personal nature, and it's triggered by what Natalie said in her amazing small speech, short speech, but very substantial in substance. I was sitting there and thinking, yes, this is about actual physical genocide of Armenians, but on top of it, as a Soviet Armenian, I am an illicit recipient of a cultural, genocide by Russification and Sovietization, I grew up as a Soviet. I didn't know any of this music. That's my point. Or the music I heard was so different and so generic compared to, this is cutting edge ethnographic music that the amazing leaders, Natalie and Armen, are researching. And then with this amazing artist, we're hearing the true roots of pure Armenian music. And we're so lucky that we're able to do it in our program, because we just happen to have all the riches, on one campus, in one school. We have ethnomusicology school that is like #1 in the nation. We have a performance factor. We have research factor, and all of that is possible. We have the largest Armenian population anywhere outside of Armenia. So to be able to combine all of this and fuse, so we can have moments like that, it's very meaningful to me also, because it helps me grow. I am learning from them, and that is just the most amazing feeling for me. So that's my confession. The second thing, I have announcements. I would like to invite you to a few very interesting events, all have to do with Armenian culture or music. This coming Sunday is opening at the Fowler Museum of the Zhanyak exhibit. This is first time ever in the history of Fowler Museum that there's an exhibit dedicated to anything Armenian. And this is thanks to Kasia Armenian. I don't know if she's here, but she curated it. And it features 14 rare lacework artworks by Armenian genocide survivor Marie Filiposian. The opening is this Sunday at 2:30. And Armen Adamian Duduk and Hasmik Harutyunyan will be performing there as a special gesture and contribution from Armenian Music Program. But it will be open through October. So please make sure to go and see that. Hammer Museum is going to offer Becoming Van Leo exhibit that starts in July. This is first international exhibit of Egyptian Armenian photographer known as Van Leo, who is born Levon Boyajian. It sounds fascinating. And it's an absolute must to attend. Last but not least, on May 26th at our school, at the Schoenberg Hall, we're going to hold our 3rd annual Day of Armenian Music at UCLA. Please come visit our website. You'll learn more about what's happening. There will be several activities, from school children being bused to Schoenberg Hall for exciting outreach and tour of campus and dance workshop by Natalie, to a high-end kind of a scholarly lectures by our visiting artist in residence, Artur Avanesov, and a concert of new and world premieres of Armenian chamber music. So that's on May 26th, which is Friday. Hope to see you there. Come and support us in any way you can. Like seeing full Hammer is such a, this is, I think, the record, right, Claudia? We never had such an amazing audience here. And so the more audience we have, the more excited we get as performers. And if you happen to want to support us in some other ways, there's always a link to click. You can always do that. I see some potential future donors here sitting clearly. And my last act as an MC is to give thanks. I want to first thank Claudia, who's been our most gracious host for ever since we started our concerts here. You're somewhere there, Claudia. thank you for being such a amazing advocate for great art, for Armenian art, and all your staff. Everyone is amazing. I will miss names if I start now saying, but Shannon, Belize, Christo, people who working the sound, people who working live stream, amazing team Hammer Museum has. Thank you to you all. Yeah, I'd like to thank a member of our team, of our Armenian music team. She's here. Her name is Irene Bagdasaryan. She worked behind the scenes to make these beautiful programs and to make a lot of logistics. I want to thank my colleagues who are here in the audience, both faculty and administration colleagues. Michael Dean is here, my fellow professor of voice and teacher of Max. And our dean, Eileen Strempel, is here, and so is Liz Wohinkel, director of development. Wonderful to see you here. Thank you for continuing to support our program. I would like to thank Hammer board member Eric Esraelian, who is a dear friend of our program, for coming up with that great idea and for always being there for us. Thank you, Eric. No need to thank the musicians, although each of them is amazing, as you can see. Please look at the program, the bios in the program. They're such masters, and having so much wealth of talent on one stage, I think we really broke all the records of our concerts, at least. And last, I would like to thank my fellow MC and my dear colleague. She gets teary, I get teary. Sorry, I blame my mother. She's also very sentimental. But Melissa is not only my amazing colleague who and world-level scholar, world-level ethnomusicologist, and a person of a pure heart and amazing intellect, that I'm so fortunate to be working together, guiding this program, and starting next year, she will be leading the program, and I'm so excited that she, no doubt, will be taking it to new heights. And she's also the creator of the artistic concept of this entire concert. So I'm going to embarrass you and ask you to take a bow, Melissa. Please. Yes. Thank you, everyone. And I hear there's lots of very delicious Armenian pastries in the courtyard. We'll be happy to talk to you outside, and you will see many performers. Thank you and have a good night.